I like that. Listen and learn. Listen and learn.
Valdosta, Georgia. You would think it's a beautiful monument, but when you look a little closer, you see that the flagpoles up to the top is not quite correct. The United States flag should be the highest.
Now, I was criticized for this even by some elected officials, telling me, George, why don't you go in underground like the other pastors? Why don't you shut your mouth like these other scary Negroes? Why are you speaking out, Brother Rhymes? Shut your mouth, Brother Rhymes. You ought to be like my pastor and don't say nothing. And so nobody criticized them. Yeah, they call me crazy. And it's the other pastors who you give your money to. It's the other bishops who live in... Listen.
So when it was ordered that the flag be lowered half-staff because of the shooting in Arizona, it forces them to raise the flag, to lower the flag to the level that they're at now. And we all can see that if the wind was blowing, that is really a bad sight in comparison to proper flying of the United States flag as well as the Georgia State flag and the other flag that is representing the black African American people. So we're going to move a little closer and we want to show you some defects of the construction of this monument that needs to be corrected as soon as possible. Thank you.
Let me stop right there. I want to say to you that we want to thank City Council, Mayor John Freddy. They fixed the flag and today the flag poles are correct and the 3 flags are flying as they should, and I want to thank them for that. Yet, my question to the people here in Valdosta, what did the Martin Luther King committee say about that? What did the 500 or 1,000 people say when they meet yearly and don't even call the people who are doing the work of Dr. King to say boo? Don't even call the president of the SCLC, who is carrying on the very organization of Dr. King. Well, these are the type pastors that the people in our community love. They love pastors who don't do anything. This is who they give their money to. This is who they support, and this is who they lift very high in the community. And they say to hell with the rest of the civil rights movers and shakers. Now we're going to the monument. We want you to know what's going on. Your news media didn't tell you about it, but I preserved it because I wanted this historical record to be for our children and coming generations. There's no need of our children being ignorant.
Let's get the least short small.
This is on Martin Luther King Drive in the city of Valdosta, Georgia, in the state of Georgia. Listen, this brother John Robertson with me, and I want to thank him for standing up on your behalf. Unlike many of our other pastors, unlike our many other professionals and high-income people, listen.
Okay. At this time, this is cracked. I think it's less than a year or maybe a year. As you can see, this is cracking because there are no what, Mr. Robinson, he's an architect. Come on just a minute, tell us what is this?
There should be a release line placed in this area here that will remove the stress cracks from this. And we have another section a little further over there. We're gonna move around. We're gonna show the defects in this monument.
You are seeing what some people do not want you to see. We've shown 30 jail deaths to City Council. We've showed them white woman having all her teeth knocked out. But yet the City Council just sit there and say nothing. We talked to them about a canal and that there was nothing to keep children from falling into that canal. The news media didn't mention one thing about it to the general public. And this pattern in practice not only hit the Martin Luther King Monument. This is a pattern that needs to be stopped. It needs to be stopped, y'all. So tell your pastor about it. Tell your mama, your daddy, your father, your sister, brother that we are leading the state in jail deaths. And we are told that a death took place on May 8, 2010 out there, and nothing has been reported. And when I stood before your elected, well, let's get back to this.
This is the other one. and it's pretty severe. If it's like this today, less than a year, or close to a year since the construction of it, we can see that this does not look good to visitors or tourists here in the Valdosta area. We're also going to move over to another area and show you some defects or weaknesses in construction.
Who else in your community showed you this? Who else would do this type of work only to be condemned and criticized by black folk? This is the Martin Luther King Monument.
This area here, I can stick my finger down in here and you can see the cracks open up at least 1 inch. This is a major default, and it's lousy construction and the quality of the work that we have here, what we expect it to be, and it is a reflection of what goes into our community as to the quality of workmanship that's done anywhere in our neighborhoods. See, almost an inch difference in this. Now I'm gonna take this camera down. We got to overlook the movement in it, and we're gonna show some of the other areas so that you can see and understand.
At some point, the news media and television station would show this because it's tax dollars. Somewhere your county commitment, your city council members would be concerned enough to try to not keep it secret, but to let the people know about the people who are doing something positive for the community. But everything that I've done since 1989, have you ever seen a thumbs up on what I do in the Valdosta Daily Times? Listen, let me repeat that. Have you ever seen a thumbs up for Reverend Floyd Rose? Let me repeat that. Have you ever seen Reverend John Robinson trying to get Section 3 federal funds into this community? Have you ever seen a thumbs up for him? Have you ever seen a thumbs up for the work that well, let's go further, y'all.
Exactly what we're saying. See this crack? Now put your finger over the ring. He can put his hand down in there. See? And that's no good. That's no good at all. This should have any movement. I mean, don't know whether or not if it was placed in, I don't see how they could have placed this in out of line, so far out of line, man. As you can see, it's right in front of our obelisks, okay? You see?
From start to finish, we have
another area we're going to move around to.
We've been questioned about how many black contractors benefited by the construction of this monument. We just sit back, duplicate what others do, but when it comes down to really making a difference in the community, we are nowhere to be found. How many black dollars, how many black concrete workers, and how much money did we... People must be laughing at us, y'all.
Put your finger there, my brother. See, he can put his finger down in this crack here. So down on this end here, I'm gonna move down kind of slowly. Brother Ryan, I'm gonna show down this area here to show the difference in how close it's supposed to be. See, this area right down here, where the seam is located, is together, right in here. Okay? Now, when you go down further, he can actually stick his finger down there. That's poor quality workmanship to reflect, you know, a monument of this magnitude. Yes. And this is on the south side of it. Okay? Now, we didn't have any black people.
How many people, the bourgeois Negroes that we're going to call them, that I don't like that name, but there come a time when you got to try to make your point. I want members of these various churches, I want these disconnected leaders in our community to understand. No person should have to walk down this road alone to be criticized and treated like Jeremiah, treated like Jesus, treated like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, treated like Mary McLeod Bethune, treated like the other freedom fighters, Hosea Williams, while others placate, duplicate, and imitate those great men But when it come down to getting outside of the four walls of the church, well, hell, they're nowhere to be found. And how can they lead you to heaven, but can't lead you to Martin Luther King Drive to point out these defects in a little workmanship? And we're going to show you a lot more. It's just not this, y'all. And where's your news media? But many of you all don't give a damn.
As contractors, community, look at the lousy work that was done. And they give us a monument. Silver monument up our behind and expect us to appreciate stuff like this. And we could have utilized these funds in a much better way to revitalize our community, okay?
I would also like to add that the people who stood on the platform of the Martin Luther King obelisk on that day of dedication very seldom if ever would come out and look at the workmanship or actually take part in the real working that Dr. King did during his lifetime. And so this is why I say, to me, on Dr. King's birthday is a disgrace to the man, a disgrace to his legacy, unless we're going to actually implement the teachings of that great prophet of our times. It serves us very little. This is a beautiful area, but at the same time, it must be kept up, maintained, and represented as a reflection of the work of the great man Martin Luther King Jr. was. Not just to talk about him on his birthday, but to actually implement the working of the work that he did. That would be a reflection of the realness of the man. It makes of no real significance just to have a banquet on his birthday, but to ignore the work that he did. Dr. King was as the water I'm standing before. God said, water is the substance of life. Dr. King was a man that dealt with life. And so why can't we be about life instead of rhetoric and to lift oneself up as if though they are more than even the great prophet, Reverend Martin Luther King himself. Thank you.
Yeah, and as we look at this water in this place, this water's supposed to be at least another 2 feet high, spraying, and look how it's just built and no one has come in.
Let me say that what we have shown you thus far in bad workmanship in the concrete, and this water fountain has been repaired. It was repaired because followers of Jesus Christ went beyond just sitting in the churches and among the pews and among other so-called saints of the modern era. We, by God's grace, had enough love, enough courage, minus fear, to do what was right. And the right thing was done, although many members of the clergy, I'm sure, respect us, but they refuse to follow us as we follow the real dream of Dr. King. I learned how to ream out from the dream of Dr. King to do something better for my fellow man. I used to be a traditional preacher, but I changed that. I will always be a minister of truth among all men. I'm a minister to the Jews. I'm a minister to the Muslims. I'm a minister to the Buddhists. I'm a member of the Christian faith. I'm a friend and minister of the Seventh-day Adventists. I'm a friend and conversationist with and among the Latter-day Saints when they come to me, because I love them all and I do not hold them as inferiors, as inferior people in the spectrum of my mind and my God understanding. I love them all. And so this is why I do what I do. This is why John Robertson stand by my side in what I'm doing. Let's hear just a little bit more.
Actually gathering mold or fungus or something around the inside of it, and it needs to be clean. monument, okay? We think it's a good thing that the city does. But the reflection that this illuminates, okay, and the poor quality that we found in this is rather devastating, okay? Dedicated to such a man.
And so it is. This is kvci.blogspot.com. January 29th, 2012. Doing what we do. Because we truly, truly love you.